Okay, good morning. Today is day 33 of making these videos to discuss the day and the life or the life of me as a human with schizophrenia, and to practice being on camera for whatever endeavor I do in the future, whether it be I originally started this for library class and I noticed that I was not very good on camera, so uh, just trying to get comfortable on camera for whatever I do in the future. And I start with an intro to these videos, and I start with saying that I came to the realization while writing my book that if I was going to describe myself as to others, that I would tell them that I am an itty bitty writer who experiences schizophrenia. It is a reality to be experienced, and much of the reality can be explained by coming into contact with systems and operations that use highly advanced technology or modern technology. And I'm just a one-time semi-activist. I'm now a brain-damaged author of a book that I am writing about about technology and society, political surveillance, and psychological operations. And this has programmed my mind into a schizophrenic functioning. So for all intents and purposes, my mind now functions in the schizophrenic function. I am actually, however, a recipient of organized political warfare, what NATO calls cognitive war, and what the chief of Indian intelligence refers to as neurostrike, which is what China calls their brain weapon technology. This has given me a conditioned characteristic of schizophrenia, which is more an experience with a classified or underworld section of reality. Okay, I'm going to get into my topics today. To start off with today, a little bit about the schizophrenic reality. One of the things that happen when you have the schizophrenic reality, you receive media or feedback or whatever. And so last night I was reading a book. I was walking around here around 7:45. The Laker game was going on, and I was reading out of my Clanlands book by Sam Hugan and Graham McTavish, and it was in a section they were discussing. Sam Hugan was discussing. He was waking up in the middle of New Zealand in a camper van, and he was having a dream about flying in New Zealand. He was falling through the sky, and he woke up Graham McTavish, and he was having a dream about flying in the sky. So I didn't say anything to anybody in my house. I didn't say anything about it. That was just the last thing I read in a book was about flying in a dream. And about 15 minutes later, I go and I put on my headphones, and the first thing that comes on the headphones when I put on my headphones was KUSC, the classical music channel, and the host, was talking about a song, and she said that the host was talking about a perfect song for flying in a dream. She was like, "Have you ever flown in a dream?" and blah blah blah. And so I was like, "That's just an example of the synchronicity that people talk about a lot of times when you have schizophrenia, and a lot of people in general in society notice those things." And so I don't know if it was like an AI controlling the host. I don't know if the host is in some sort of feed watching me here, but like I just, yeah, I think I'm on a thought broadcasting thing where like they know what I'm gonna read in my book. They know what page I'm on in the book. There's like cameras, maybe like uh X-ray cameras or something, or I'm on a thought broadcasting thing, so people can see everything I do here, and so it's like you're always being watched and stuff. All right, so that was that. And I'm going to go into something a little bit different now. I'm going to go back to, I told you on day 31 that I was taking a trip to San Diego, and we did take a trip to San Diego. We saw Ella, and I think I've seen Ella now for a total of like 10, 11 days, and I was noticing that she's literally like never fussy as a baby, and I'm like, I don't know if that's like a stage that babies get in, but she's just like real taken care of. She's just never fussy. So the parents and the family there is doing really good with Ella, and she's really happy, content little baby, and so I'm really happy about that. And we went to a park called San Dieguito Park. I actually had never been to that park. I don't recall being to that park. Maybe I did go there one time, but I don't recall being there. And it's a park in between Solana Beach and Rancho Santa Fe or Santa Penasquitos. And I actually had remembered going through like neighborhoods like that in San Diego when I worked at Habitat. I drove a little truck and pick up furniture and stuff, and I remembered going through those little roads where there was like these massive estates and stuff. But it was really nice little neighborhood going through there. We drove from Rancho Bernardo to through the hills there, and it's a really pretty little area. It's like a classic California hillside and stuff, and so that was pretty cool. Uh, uh, and like I say, Ella, she was a little bit fussy this time when we were out in the elements, but that was like the first time I'd seen her fussy in about 11 total days that I've seen Ella. So that's she was a little trooper, kind of. She was a little cold. I think it was a cold day. So I was just noticing that. I was just pointing out that, like, in the 1 out of 11 days was pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so in my other book, baseball book, I'm reading is it was San Diego Park is a very pretty park. It's almost like kind of like Griffith Park, or like my brother referred to it as a little bit like Franklin Park in Los Angeles or something. So it was cool. We had a nice time with the family there, and I really enjoyed it. I was gonna go into Fenway Park. Speaking of parks, and I was reading in the book. You want to, if you go to Fenway Park, you want to avoid those little pesky poles that come down from the upper decks or whatever and block your view. So I actually, if I went to Fenway Park, I'd want to sit in the second deck, the little section. I The big section is intimidating to me. It's like a massive crowd of people, and with the schizophrenia, you almost have agoraphobia now. But like, I don't really, but like, it's a little much to be in a mass group like that for me. Like, I like the littler section, I think. So that's just part of my intake now. Like, a little bit smaller sections for me I can handle probably, but the mass sections, I'm afraid of stampedes or something. I don't know what I'm afraid of, but like, I think it's just too much intake. There's just like people all around you. It's just the energy, like they're all staring at you and stuff like that. So I'm not really into the older parks in baseball like I am the newer parks. Like the older parks, when I was a kid, I was really into it, like Wrigley Field, Yankee Stadium, uh, Fenway Park. I thought they were super cool, and I still do, but they lost some of their luster to me. I don't know, maybe they don't build them up as much anymore. Maybe the history just isn't really talked about as much anymore. But I do know that, like, if you lose these baseball parks, that you're losing a connection to the past, like Ted Williams, Ernie Banks, like these players or whatever. You're gonna lose connection to the past, and so I understand like why people like the parks and stuff. It's just like the newer parks are cathedrals in their own right, and they're really well made. And there's just something about the newer parks that is just like, okay, it's like a modern baseball cathedral, and there's something about the way that they're built. They're built really, they're kind of majestic in their own right, and so you just curious to see like what can be made in the new park. And like I've been to City Field, I've been to Petco, I've been to all those stadiums, or the Oracle Field in San Francisco, and they're just pretty remarkable. They're just a great energy to those parks. But I don't want to lose the connection to the past, so I understand that. Okay, so in my Katie Ledecky book, segue here about Katie Ledecky, she talks about her grandma Berta, and she talked about her grandma Bertha rose in the ranks of a corporate field, medical sales, and uh, it was a big deal when she did it because women weren't really doing that. So she was saying it showed something about her grandma's fortitude. And in talking about that, she talked about her family's, the Jewish roots, family's fortitude. She talked about her great grandpa who was writing letters to her great grandma, uh, which is the mother and father of her grandma Berta. And she was saying that her grandpa, or great grandpa, was discussing how he would be harassed by gangs of boys after school, walking from Hebrew school, and he would get his shirt torn up and get in all these fights and stuff. And they were harassing him. I guess I don't know if there was for being Jewish, but it sounded like gangs of boys would harass him and beat him up and stuff. And he had to come home and talk to his dad, and his dad was upset. And so she was saying like he would get bullied basically, and that was a tough thing. And so it made me think about like, oh my God, today now we have like Nazis coming into power, and uh, but the ADL I guess says that going like this is not a Nazi salute, even though the neo Nazis that go around today use the exact same thing. Hitler did the exact same thing. I mean, Elon Musk did a Nazi salute, and there's no way you're going to tell me he didn't do a Nazi salute. So people really, I ask you to really examine what you're supporting in Trump, because he's not Mr. Americana. Okay, the guy is he's traversing in fascist symbology and fascist elements in this country. And I guess I guess we have more fascists in this country and Nazis in this country than we realize. And I've kind of realized it for a long time, my personal experience with what's going on. And I guess we could get into a little bit. Well, I was going to talk about Katie Ledecky, but she, just to go back, she credits her grandma with finding pools for her in the Czech Republic, and it was the first place that Katie swam internationally or whatever. But to get back into this idea of like a Jewish person being harassed or whatever, the ADL not saying that the the thingy that Musk did was Nazi salute. The ADL could be Nazis themselves, and you take a look at what's happened in Palestine and stuff. Like you can't, the ADL is not really trustworthy with what they sanction going on. And so you go into World War II and stuff, and you see that some elements of Jewish people were working in connection with Hitler at the very top, and so now they're working with Nazis in America, and so you know, uh, it's not going to be good for most people in this country. And so, anyways, you cannot tell me that that was not a Nazi salute, and it's a very stark, sad day in this country. I don't know if you can use the word momentous, but it's quite a crazy day in this country's history. All right, I'm gonna stop here because it's been 15 minutes.